So if you can, John, just kind of ignore this. I'm sorry that it's going to show here. But what I will do after that, oh, look, I can do that. And then you can turn my calendar off so you don't have to see all that stuff too. So that'll be recording you. What I do with that later is I upload it to Canvas so you can go back and watch it. The other thing I could do is if you preferred, we can record it on your phone.
The computer's fine.
Okay. All right. So welcome to North Logan.
Thank you.
Not that you've never been here before, but thanks for coming in for the interview.
Of course.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So I am a very hard-working person. I'm very passionate about what I do. But among that, I'm a very dedicated worker. I've only ever had 2 jobs since I was able to work. My very first job was at Lagoon. I was a landscape maintenance type person there. Essentially, my job was just to make sure the park was tip-top shape, presentable, and that people wouldn't notice any problems that there may have been or whatever. But my duty was just to give a good image of what Lagoon was and what they wanted to represent, a nice, fun place for families to spend time, and while making it a beautiful place to do so. I don't know if you've ever been on Cannibal, but some of the landscaping around that I did during my time there, so I've left my footprint, I guess, at Lagoon, and I'll always remember that. And then my second job that I've had has just been working with North Logan City since 2016. I've been there. This is just now starting my 4th year there. And I just started at the very bottom of the ladder, just taking care of the parks, mowing them, and weed whacking, all of those types of things. And then slowly but surely, I just took up an interest in being more than just a worker. I wanted to provide a service to people. I wanted to make their experiences at our parks, the best in the valley, and people to remember that North Logan is the best place to call home. So I'm very dedicated to what I do. I've only had 2 jobs, and I'm hoping I can just continue to keep working here full time and continuing to better the community.
Awesome, great, perfect. So tell me. So you've talked about some of the previous work experience you've had. Tell me what you think your biggest strength is that you bring to recreation here in North Logan.
I think a big plus that I have compared to other people is I know what North Logan is and how it operates. I've had my feet in the door operating some of their events. I lead the parks crew in maintaining all of our parks and facilities, as well as our brand new high school and RSL facility. So I know how North Logan functions, and I know what our people want, and I already have that experience over anybody else that may be applying.
Okay. Can you give me an example of how we have so many different things going on? Can you give me an example of how your organizational skills, either in school or in your previous job working for parks, has helped you and will help you with this job?
So I'm a very meticulous person. I like to write down everything I need to accomplish in a day or things like that. I love to-do lists. It helps me identify tasks that need to be done, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So I'm always just on top of what needs to be done. And so several things that we have implemented since I started working there is we started a new daily tracker, kind of like board for all of our employees to see, so they also know what we're doing each day. And it's just made communication more clear from the higher ups to them, so they understand what their purpose is that day, and just things like that, just to help improve efficiency and communication from the top to the bottom.
Great example. So you have you've done a lot of work in the background of recreation. Do you have any experience putting on programs or events?
I've always been adopted into other people's programs. Like I've been part of Pumpkin Walk.
Sure.
I've always been the go-to contact person for when Conservice has their summer party at our park. This last year in October, I was put in charge of the pumpkin toss event. Um, I managed all of the aspects that go into that, getting the food truck lined up, our participants, setting up the event itself, making sure it was all running smoothly. I was taking on all aspects of that event, so um, I do have experience there. And then my hope this year during my internship is to implement a brand new event to the city. It's going to be called Touch a Truck. What we're going to do is, I learned this from just being in the public works department myself, um, just being in a big vehicle driving down the road. Kids stop what they're doing and just watch you drive by. I was like, obviously they're very interested in what they're seeing, but they never have the opportunity to go up and touch or learn about the vehicle. So I thought, why not give them the opportunity to do so? And so at Elk Ridge in June, we'll be lining up like all of our public works vehicles, fire department, police department. We're going to be building some bridges, um, as well as getting some sponsorships from other companies in the valley. And then the big cherry on top of that event is I'm going to try and get a helicopter to land for the kids. I think that would just be absolutely mind blowing for them. But yeah, I'm trying to get my foot in the door and creating my own programs in North Logan.
Perfect. That's great. So this is something that in our field, and it doesn't matter whether you're working in parks or in recreation, that people oftentimes experience. But you're working with other people on your crew, people who are using the parks, and at times there's issues where conflict may arise. Can you give me an example of a time that you've experienced conflict at work? How did you resolve it, and do you have a philosophy on how you resolve conflict?
So I've always been under the mindset that that we are here to serve the people that we are working for. I think it's often lost in just what we do as a functioning government entity, that sometimes we're just there to make sure our parks are clean, but we're not there to go a step and beyond and make sure that everyone's comfortable with the parks and how they're operating. Um, One way I tackle that is during the winter, during our snow plowing season. I like to go above and beyond what is necessary and what is actually taught. Um, what is taught essentially is don't ever talk to anybody. They're probably mad at you. It's not worth your time to talk to them. Whereas on my point of view, I rather understand why they're frustrated so I can better fix how I'm plowing their neighborhood and such. And so I've always been in the same neighborhood the last 3 years. And so what I've learned is certain people have certain critiques of how things should be done. Like I know, say there's an old man that lives in this corner house, not to barricade in his driveway. And so I've just been going about that, knowing each individual person, what their needs are. And I think it's really coming off as a good impression of the city and myself. And so if I ever see anybody that's looks like they could be mad or anything, I will stop and I will talk to them and hear their point of view and see if I can address it right away. And if I can, I'll pass it on to someone that has more responsibility on that. But I like going above and beyond when it comes to plowing like that. Obviously, it's not required to, when we're plowing snow into your driveway, to remove it afterwards. But that's just one step I like to implement into how I work is if I see someone out shoveling or anything like that, I just push snow in their driveway, I know they're going to be not happy with what they just saw, especially if they just shoveled their driveway. And so I like to, try and clear off that last 3 feet of snow because it really does brighten their mood, even if it's something so simple as that. It takes me 5 seconds. Yeah. So I like to go above and beyond what people are expecting, I guess.
Okay. Thinking about the next 5 years of your career, where would you like to see your career go, and how would you like to see yourself get there?
So that's a really fun question. I think about that all the time, where I would like to see myself. Ideally, I would like to start here in North Logan. It's a great place to start. I'd love to dedicate many years here. And my plan is to just, if given this position, to implement a new event or a new type of program that we can run with, such as like our fire department. I do have a plan to see if we can't work out a deal where we can get in contact with the elementary schools in North Logan to see if they would like to start a reading program, and if we can start like a reading program, if we can like pick a winner that reads the most or something. We work with our fire department or the police department and have that winning kid be driven to school in the fire truck or police police car. 'Cause I think they put a good impression on that reading is to be rewarded, and that you get rewarded with cool things like that. But my plan is to build up our resume of events this year. I'd love to tackle all of our marketing. Obviously, most of that comes from the recreation department, but
Sure.
sometimes we have parks marketing that needs to be happening towards our splash pad or anything like that. And so my goal is to just incorporate all of the events, like start managing all of them myself. And if I acquire personnel to help me do that over the years, implement them into that same system. I really want to put North Logan even more on the map of special events and just things like that. I've also been wanting to learn more and more about marketing. I'd love to get some actual professional work doing so. I actually brought some flyers that I got. This is actually Nibley's form that I kind of stole from Chad. Um, what I did is I made it far more aesthetically pleasing, and it's essentially the same information, but attaining to us instead of Nibley. But I've made the information more clear, and so that's just one thing I've been wanting to take on is make North Logan super professional looking. And these are just some other baseball flyers that I've made just this last month for our baseball program. So I'm hoping to take on all marketing for the city as well as special event management.
Nice. Very good. Those look great. So this part of the interview, do you have any questions for us?
Where would you like to see the organization going? Do you guys have events you've been wanting to maybe try out, or is there anything that people have been asking for that they'd like to see changed or added?
Well, one of the things we've been considering doing is looking at doing a needs assessment to evaluate what it is the community most would like to see grow. We've been focusing on youth sports growth, and it has definitely grown, sort of leaps and bounds. That being said, a lot of other communities are expanding into some of the areas that you were talking about, offering different styles of programs, having partnerships with the library, with the schools. We use the schools a lot, but we don't necessarily work with the schools.
Right.
So looking at expanding those relationships and connecting better, but two, trying to find out exactly what it is the people want. So not just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, but
Right.
trying to plan according to what the community dictates.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect. What are your guys' plans for just the recreation field itself? Is there anything sports-wise that you'd like to see begin or anything like that?
So we are going to keep trying new sports. Fast pitch softball this summer is brand new to us. Our basketball program is only 2 years old. But basically with the facility, all of the new facilities that we have, we're having a lot of new opportunities. Also with these new facilities means our older facilities may not be in as heavy use, which allows us to better program there. So youth lacrosse exists in Cache Valley, but it isn't as big as it could be. With some of our field space having some openings and having an indoor soccer center that is regularly booked, and it's booked in the busiest of times. Utilizing that to maybe bring in a new sport like lacrosse. Rugby in different parts of the state is also incredibly popular. But trying to manage growth at the same time. We doubled the number of basketball players we had playing basketball, which means double the work for us. And though we're looking to bring someone on as an intern, our staff